Welcome, everyone. It's time for the live pitch. Before we do that, let me remind you to go ahead and uh, register as a VIP. We'd love to have you. There's so much more opportunity to engage with the speakers, and especially one of the most vital opportunities is to join the networking session this evening immediately following the live pitch, which means you'll get to chat with the companies that pitched. Ask those pertinent questions that you care about before you make your final investment decisions. This is a great opportunity. Don't miss it. Also, I invite you to join the drawing so that you can get a free VIP pass. Register for the drawing at s4g.biz/drawing, s4g.biz/drawing. Now, I really am thrilled. I'm going to bring our judges onto the screen here for just a quick moment to introduce them. We've got just amazing judges. We've got Paul Lovejoy and Leah Bollier Gautreau. I do my best, Leah. And then, and of course, Jackie Logan. Jackie, these are amazing investors who are serious about crowdfunding. Jackie spent 20 years on Wall Street. She's a big deal. Uh, Leah helps to manage. Leah helps to manage the King's Crowd Fund. Paul Lovejoy is a registered investment advisor who helps to manage other people's money and is himself a very active investor. Whew, great people. I'm going to hide you for a minute because we're going to go on to start looking at our pitching companies. But just know that those judges are the real deal. They will be thinking about, as I will be, the investments we'll all be making based on these pitches. So this is like a truly live fire environment. We are excited to have our first uh, pitching company. And so let me walk you through the format a little bit. Um, First, we will be doing each presenter, each pitcher will get 5 minutes to pitch, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A. And you can all ask questions. Let me just share the link for asking questions because you're all eligible to ask them. Where did I hide that from myself? Oh, apparently, let's see. What? There we go. So if you've got a question, you can ask it, and then we will. If you happen to be watching on. Whoa, we're having a party here. If you have a question, you can submit the questions in the comments, and there we go. Okay, so we got the questions in the comments. If you're watching on social media or YouTube, ask a question using this QR code or s4g.biz/myq, s4g-biz/myq. So as you watch these presentations, I invite you to be thinking about what you would like to know about our presenters. Now, with that said, I'm going to bring on our first presenter, Joe. Joe, are you able to turn your? There we go.
Yeah. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and hide myself and give you the floor for 5 minutes.
Do I sing now?
And now you sing. Sing for your supper.
Tell me when we're ready to go. We're on? Hi, I'm Joe Dolan, president of EcoSafe Technologies, and I'm tremendously excited to be here. I want to take a quick moment to thank Devin and his team for putting together this fantastic platform and for allowing us to participate. All right, let's jump right in. We have an urgent water crisis in the US and across the globe. You may be surprised to know that the vast majority of stormwater in the US is not treated in any way before it enters our streams, rivers, bays, and oceans. Stormwater contains a wide variety of pollutants, trash, pet waste, oil, grease, chemicals like fertilizers and pesticides, and even toxic heavy metals. Additionally, many older cities have combined systems where wastewater and stormwater share pipes. During heavy rains, these systems can get overloaded, releasing untreated sewage into our waterways and oceans alike. The crisis is so bad that the EPA estimates the need for stormwater infrastructure to be $67.2 billion in the next 5 years. Now the good news. While existing technology seen on the left uses an excessive amount of money, manpower, and resources, our groundbreaking EST core technology uses specially designed equipment that operates on gravitational force alone, requiring no power source to function. This makes it immune to brown and blackout issues. Using our specifically formulated medium, it separates contaminants on a molecular level. This process allows clean water to be immediately returned and contaminants to be contained, drastically reducing hazardous material created. We've had 3 independent labs do 4 rounds of testing, the latest within the last month. Each scientifically proved that overwhelming effectiveness of our technology, over 99.99% removal of hydrocarbons and bacteria. Our EST core technology has many market applications. The 3 we are actively focusing on are storm drains and interceptors, oil spill response and remediation, and industrial usage extending the life of expensive coolants. Our storm drains and storm drain interceptors save a tremendous amount over traditional water treatment facilities. They address the current problem by capturing floating debris and biomass, as well as chemical and biological contaminants before they reach our waterways. We have chosen storm drain interceptors to be our top priority because the need is clear, obvious, and urgent. Initial contracts would be sufficient financially to help grow our company, and we have established relationships in the market. Our first response boat, seen here right near the baby seals, takes on 65 gallons of oil and water a minute using our specially designed material belt. The mixture enters the boat approximately 400,000 parts per million oil. The EST core system discharges clean water back to the ocean immediately at 3 parts per million, per independent testing by Pace Analytical. It is our ultimate goal to have our technology used to clean every oil spill in the world. EST core technology is also used industrially to clean expensive coolant and machine parts washers. Our technology can extend coolant life 10 times. It removes all the hydrocarbons and bacteria without the need for biocides, providing a safer work environment for employees. Now our people. Mr. Benjamin Gerfinkel is the co-founder of our company and the brilliant inventor of our EST core technology. Benny is an 89-year-old Holocaust survivor. His experience comes from working at NASCO, Solar Turbines, and General Dynamics through his career. We've assembled an international executive and advisory board of great human beings, each of whom brings vital knowledge and experience to our cause. To a person, every member of our team believes fervently in our EST core technology and see it as the immediate answer to protecting what we care about very most, our people and our planet. Our efforts over the past 18 months have led us to many important meetings and relationships. Our memberships in the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce and APWA, the American Public Works Association, have been essential in developing these contacts. EcoSafe Technologies is already recognized locally and sought out as experts on water-related environmental issues. We forecast steady progressive growth, resulting in an excess of $100 million in sales annually by year 5. $108 million in forecast only amounts to 0.17% of the total addressable U.S. market. So what can you do? You can join us. Together we are the solution. This is the part where I ask you for the money. Please don't make me bring back the picture of the baby seals. Our simple belief is that if we can effectively and affordably address sustainable water, protect our ecosystems, and protect our people, the money will come. The markets our groundbreaking technology applied to are massive, in the hundreds of billions. Our dedicated team is standing by and committed to changing the world. Please go to the WeFunder URL or QR code below to invest now. Thank you so much for your time, your shared passion for our oceans and waterways, and hopefully for becoming a partner and proud champion of our company. Thank you, and keep moving forward. Thank you.
Great job. Great job. And you know that was exactly 5 minutes, Joseph. You nailed that. I think that's the closest 5-minute presentation timing I've ever seen. I've seen them.
What do I win?
You win the 5-minute prize. So good job. Good job. We have, as I've said, we've got an amazing panel of judges. These are super astute human beings. I'm going to turn the time over to them to start asking you some questions, but let's start with Leah. Leah, what did you see you want to know?
So what I see right now are, if I understood well, 3 products that have a really potential for impact, not only from an economical perspective for your company, but also for the environment. And what I want to know at this stage is, what is your go-to-market strategy? Because it seems like to different products to different types of clients. So can you explain how you're going to start generating revenue?
Right. So there's a couple of different ways. One is we are submitting right now to the Port Blue Economic Development Group incubator to be a participant. And we have contacts with the U.S. Navy who have shown interest in using our technology to remove the pollutants when they clean their boats. So that's one market that we're looking at. But the port, getting into their incubator would be incredibly validating for us. So that's of great importance. With that, we have people that we know in the market, and we would approach different municipalities directly to see if we can help with their problems. I mean, understand that people in these municipalities face steep fines from the EPA if they're caught with this pollution running into the oceans and waterways. I mean, Houston paid a $4.4 million fine for pollution from the EPA. So we understand that it's challenging, but for us, if we can get our first contract, we think that many will fall in line, because nobody else is going to search for an answer when we already have one that resolves their issue. Our answer literally removes all of the trash and the chemicals that are going directly into the water right now, and even handles the overflow from their wastewater. It would remove the bacteria. And even if they have chemicals that remove the bacteria, a lot of people will use like chlorine for their overflow. Our system will remove that before it heads into the water. So we have the answer, and it's really simple. It's shelf ready. We can build them scalable to size for each market, and they just require digging the hole and continuing, the path, just going right in the middle of the path from where the storm drains now go from, down into the ocean. They all may be 50 to one storm drain that empties out into the ocean. We would put an interceptor somewhere within a quarter of a mile from that point and capture all of the trash, the chemicals. I mean, it seems like a simple, straightforward solution. And once we get some traction, I think that's why when you looked at our forecast, it started slow, but it went up exponentially, because once we start putting these in, nobody's going to start looking for a new solution when we already have the solution. And nobody else out there exceeds EPA standards the way we do. There's just nothing else out there, to my knowledge, that does what we do. Was that an answer?
I think so. Jackie, what would you like to know?
So, first of all, I mean, a very needed product.
Thank you.
Particularly, stormwater runoff, polluting our waters. Water is a big issue going forward. So, I love what you're focused on, and Leia's question was my question as well, because how do you start to get this out in the market? So thank you for your response. I guess what I would ask right now is, I think you're focusing on the three products. Are you focusing on one first, which is the filter, and can you tell me, where is that product in? If I said to you, Joe, I need 10 of them tomorrow, can you produce them? Where are you in the actual development of that product?
So we could have them within 3 months. They're easy to build. That's not the issue. To create the medium is easy enough. Really, the longest part of the process would be the permitting process, getting the permits to do it. And then once they're there, we have connections. At least here in San Diego, we have connections to do the construction, the community relations, the implementation, everything we could do here now. And we work with another company that works actually all across the U.S. and internationally. So we're hopeful that this will go international. That realistically, it's needed everywhere across the world. I mean, I want to go back and say real quick, we're focused on storm drains because it's so urgently needed, and because it's such a straightforward, simple solution that is needed. But we just took some coolant samples from Bender CCP, which is a company here in San Diego, that were polluted, and we ran them through testing using ECA here in San Diego, and they came back with no bacteria and no hydrocarbon. So we're trying to get this contract with us, even a small contract to start, that would allow us to clean their coolant. And that wouldn't sustain our company, but at least it would be something to get that segment off the ground. And they also have four other places here in San Diego, or actually just on the West Coast, that could use the same treatment. I mean, realistically, they only use about $25,000 worth of coolant a year, and we would save about $20,000 of that. And that's not astronomical for them, but it's something, and it'd be more environmentally conscious for them, which I think is more important. And then some of their other places use much more coolant, in which case we can save them $50,000 to $150,000 a year in coolant cost.
And just lastly, what's the use of funds? What are you going to use the funds for?
Well, we need to bring in some outside engineers. We need to pay for some of our companies that will do very complicated. It's really funny. Even when you're talking about just dropping one of these boxes in the ground to be an interceptor, you need special engineers that create holes in the ground to specific. Yep. So we need to bring people on that have that expertise. We have a lot of people on our board. We have Moise Dreyfus, who was a microbiologist for the USDA for 20 years. I told you Ben's experience. We have Bruce Greenhouse, who is not only an attorney, but an engineer, and was part of the Qualcomm formative years and helped them get to where they are. So we have a lot of really great people on board, but we still need more people. And we need to put things together in a really, to move this forward effectively, we need employees. We need to be moving forward. All I say every day is keep moving forward. Every one of my emails, every one of my correspondence to all of our board, to our executive board, to our advisory board is keep moving forward. And so, the funds would help us be a fully functional company, be able to go after more business. And then once we started to establish some business, then, the sky's the limit.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Paul, what would you like to know? And let me remind everyone that this is an active offering, right? This is no messing around. You can visit s4g.biz/ecosave, scan this QR code, and you can go invest right now. You don't need to be accredited. You don't need to be rich. Anyone can do it. Check it out. Now, Paul, what would you like to know?
Yeah. First off, Joe, great job on your pitch. I really enjoyed it. It was great. Now, I'm actually a competitive open water swimmer, and I swim in the ocean at least 5 times a day here in Hawaii. So what you're doing is really important to me on a very personal level. So thank you for doing this. And 14 years you've been at it, 14 years. And you've gotten third-party validation. You've shown that your product can remove 99.99% of toxins. I mean, that's really incredible technical achievement that you've accomplished. So I'm just going to be frank here. Please. What has prevented you from closing your first sale?
Oh, pick me. So forgive me. I haven't been involved for 14 years. So I came on a little more than a year and a half ago because I met Benny and he showed me this technology and I was blown away. And I looked at it and I spoke with Bruce, who I knew and who knew Benny. And Bruce is a surfer here in San Diego. So he really, really cares about it. And we have huge problems here in San Diego, especially with the Tijuana River problem, which people keep asking us to address, but nobody is willing to talk to us about that problem at the moment. So what's happened in the past is Benny has had limited success before I got here. We have our technology used in Ocean Gate, New Jersey in a storm drain actively. We've had our equipment used in solar turbines to clean the coolant there. He had his boat at the Horizon oil spill where BP tested his equipment that showed 3 parts per million return to the ocean, way below the 150 limit that the EPA gives. So he's had limited success. I hate to say it this way because it's the truth. Benny is a genius. He is an absolute genius. If you talk to the guy, you see how brilliant he is. But he can't focus on any one thing. And he didn't have a team of people. So I came on board and I brought on the team that can push this forward and make it into a successful company. Benny, literally, after putting a storm drain in New Jersey, instead of going and getting another storm drain contract, he created a heart valve. That's just what he wanted to do. He created a heart valve because a friend of his needed a heart valve. So he redesigned a heart valve that he didn't even get paid for. He submitted to a company and they used his design. He's just brilliant, but his mind is just all over the place. You talk to him and you're like, Benny, let's talk about storm drains. Let's focus on this. And he goes, if we use this chemical and we sprayed it ahead of forest fires, we can slow the progress of forest fires. And this is before the LA fire. He's just brilliant, but it's like talking to a moth. It's just really hard to get him to focus and move a business forward, which is why I'm here.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense because I saw that it just was incorporated in 2024 and you've been around. So that was another one of my questions, but it seemed like it's all connected and you answered it. So thanks, Joe.
And I was at 5 minutes. I'm doing great.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone should remember that Joe perfected the art of 5 minutes when you're voting here in a few minutes. So stick with that in mind. Leah, we've got time for a really fast follow-up.
So one more question for me will be, getting contracts with municipalities is very difficult. It can take a lot of time. Do you have any hack, any kind of quick way to make it happen? How do you kind of envision that?
No, I don't think there's a quick way to make it happen. We have contacts in that market. We have somebody that we work with directly that has all those contacts, that knows all of the people in the water municipality, society here in San Diego. She knows all of them. And so we have that in, and we're just looking for a little bit of validation. So if we get to go into the port incubator group and we get a small contract from vendor, we can say, hey, look, this is who we are. Here we were on SuperGreen Live. And so that's what we're looking for, just a little bit of validation before we go in there. And if we don't get that validation, I'm still going in there. I mean, I think while everybody else on our team brings a specific expertise, my expertise is just being stubborn. My expertise is just being persistent. And that's it. I will not let this go because this, to me, is the greatest opportunity I've seen in my lifetime. And looking at it, it is so vitally needed. I mean, if we can clean up an oil spill, creating zero hazardous material waste, why aren't we? If we can solve the problem, I mean, the Great Lakes has an enormous problem right now because their stormwater and their sewer water mix, and it creates a tremendous amount of pollution. So we'd love to be there creating, starting off with just 3 storm drain interceptors.
Fantastic.
We would need thousands before it was done. I mean, you'd really, really need, I'm going to say,
Joe, thank you very, very much. I apologize that television is merciless. Our time is up. Great answer, great questions, great discussion. I am really honored now to be able to introduce our next presenter. Our next presenter will be Mark Collins of Emission-Free Generators. This is really an intriguing notion. I can't get this one out of my head, Mark, as I think about your technology and my eco efforts in my own home. So I'm really intrigued. Can't wait to learn more and to hear what our judges want to know from you as you present today. But it looks to me like you're all ready to go.
Yep.
And I'm going to hide, and you can take it away.
Wonderful. Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. I'm Mark Collins, CEO of Emission-Free Generators. I'm co-founder and co-inventor of a revolutionary hydrogen on-demand technology. I'm going to introduce you to the seg18, a clean energy portable generator that changes the way we deliver fuel and use power. This is the picture that I was confronted with in 2017. The dreaded blackout. 10 nights without light, heat or communication. It was more than just uncomfortable. People in my area lost their lives. This and the plight of others living daily without electricity worldwide pushed me to invent a clean energy that can be delivered right to your door for use indoors as well as out by anyone from the age 70 to 97. Whether we're forced into a blackout or choose to be off-grid, being without electricity is a major issue in today's world. So, what backup power products are currently on the market when the grid is unavailable? You just have three options. There's solar panels. These are good, but with physical limitations. Batteries are great, although they are a one-time use and very limited in power duration. And the traditional fuel generator, fossil fuels. We all know these create deadly fumes, are noisy and smell. But, and this is a key point, they can provide power 24/7, unlike the other two, which have an important role, but do not come as portable power certainty. The big problem is that 127 million Americans are unable to use or operate any of those three products because they live in apartments, they don't have outdoor space, or are physically unable to move liquid fuels, panels, cables, or heavy batteries around. So we designed and built a product better than anything on the market and at a competitive rate. One that delivers independent power 24/7. It does not need recharging from another power source or require secondary equipment outside the home or business. This is the seg18. Our patent-protected technology comes as two products. The generator, with highly advanced technology and AI software that controls energy production and power output delivery, and the fuel, which is a solid-state proprietary powder contained in our reusable, non-pressurized energy cartridge. It's really easy to operate. You simply place the fuel cartridge into the seg18 and plug in your own electrical device for instant power. The seg18 senses an electrical output demand and creates a tiny amount of hydrogen by activating the powder in the cartridge. The hydrogen is immediately consumed in the creation of energy. And this cycle repeats itself over and over and over, providing safe, continuous electricity. There's no need for storage. As soon as the hydrogen is created, it's consumed. So there's no wastage. There's no high pressure, no high temperature, no noise, no emissions, and no odor. These are examples of a typical energy output from one of our single cartridges. For instance, you can run a whole home office for over 12 hours with just one cartridge. If you need extended power, just add another cartridge for continuous use. The portable generator market is 7.8 billion and growing at 7.6 CAGR. California has restricted portable fossil fuel generator purchases since 2024, which is leading up to a full ban in 2028. This is an open, perfect market for us and a great position. So we made it our beachhead market, and we're launching our product in just a few months' time. This is our team. Over 100 years of practical experience covering startups, exits, patents, new product launches, financial responsibilities, and marketing of consumer products, and top corporate positions for the world's largest companies. We're also supported by a larger team of expert advisors, engineers, and industry gurus. To date, we have had 1.4 million of corporate VC and award investment. And just last week, we received a term sheet for 750,000 from a respected VC. We are also raising on WeFunder, 430,000 so far from 245 investors. So come and join us. Our mission is to create a step change to the portable generator market and provide emission-free power to the people in the world that need an alternative solution. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Mark, great job.
Thank you.
Let's turn to Paul to go first. Paul, what would you like to know?
Oh, I think you're on mute, Paul. I can't hear.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Okay.
Still can't get it right. Mark, I love what you've got going. Not just the generator, the actual product, but the team and how well thought out every single step is. I am like super impressed, especially since when I first kind of was scrolling uh, offers on WeFunder, I kind of just scrolled past yours. I just thought it was another generator. It wasn't until I really examined what you've got going on did I notice how special this really is of an opportunity. Now, I read your end of year update mentioning you've shifted the production timeline from Q1 to Q2 of this year. And you said it was because of completing the new cartridge redesign and accelerated life testing.
Yep.
Now, you've also mentioned that you've pre-sold 150 units and are 3/4 through the next 500 to 600. That's roughly what, 1.3 million in committed revenue?
Yes,
Given
absolutely.
that, something like that, yeah. Given that strong demand signal, what gives you confidence that Q2 of this year is now locked in? Is it the capital raise timeline, or is it technical risk in the accelerated life testing?
No, we're good on accelerated risk. We have done the testing. We're in beta mode, so this is just before pre-production in effect. The only thing that stops us going through into market is capital. It's expensive when you are building a new product, and when you have to comply with all of the UL certifications, and there is a string of compliance that we have to meet. Fortunately, we are pretty much compliant. I actually wrote the standard for hydrogen on demand for small portable generators with the Canadian Standards Authority, CSA, a few years back. So we are fully aware of what is required for a product to be launched to the market from a UL standard. So production-wise, we're in a very good position. Monetary-wise, we just need money for stock.
Great. Great answer to Paul's question. Jackie, do you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah, it's super exciting product and wonderful presentation. Where my head is going is, can you tell us a little bit about, these are going to be in-home, and I'm thinking kids knock them over, somebody gets a hammer out and starts to get in at one of those cartridges, and all of a sudden we got powdered hydrogen. We're not, like, talk to me a little bit about the risk associated with the materials and in-home use, and how the risk there, and how should we feel comfortable as a consumer that it's okay in my house?
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and of course, one of the biggest things that we've concentrated on is that safety, making sure that, as you say, people don't try and break into them, or dogs bite into them, or whatever can go on in a property. We've tried to replicate as much as that as possible. One of the reasons why we delayed our production to second quarter was because we did want to get this cartridge right. And so what we have done is we've made little discs, and they're this sort of size. And those discs are stacked on top of each other. So they all independently work very much as a structure. So this is these are circle discs and solid all the way through. And then they get stacked on top of each other, which gives them even more strength. So they lock in place, and this is a very, very solid piece of reusable plastics. So we're not recycling that product; we're reusing it. And the reason why we can reuse it is because it's pretty solid. You can take a hammer to these and really give it some effort to try and break into it. Of course, there's always that opportunity that somebody is going to manage, and they're going to drill holes or do whatever. I mean, you can do that with a battery. You can throw
That's right.
You can throw open flames into the middle of a petrol can. So all those different things. But with ours, even if you do break into it, all that happens is that you get a tiny amount of powder, around about 20 grams worth of powder that comes out, because every part of our section is sectioned off into 90 different individual little sections. So you have to break through all of those sections to get a mass of powder out. You've really got to go to town on this for a considerable amount of time to be able to do that. Now, this is a very safe system. And when we're producing the hydrogen, we only produce literally tiny amounts. I mean, tiny, tiny amounts. And they're immediately consumed. So there's no storage.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
You know, I love this discussion because this is such a compelling product. Leah, what would you like to know?
Well, first, congrats, Mark, because really, I was not going to think that I will actually be interested in a company that has a hydrogen generator, but you make it interesting.
Oh,
And
thank
you
you.
make it kind of making sense from an energy standpoint as well. So thank you for that. And what I really would like to know is, what is the product life cycle? Meaning, what is the carbon footprint of producing this tiny amount of hydrogen, of producing this cartridge, and what is the waste that that consumers have to deal with once the cartridge is used, and how is that being recycled?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our product carbon footprint is 0.068 grams per kilogram of CO2. So it's tiny, in effect. It's about as close as you can get to solar from a product carbon footprint point of view when you're in production. So it's very low. From a wastage point of view, well, there is no wastage with our product. We have made it from the outset of our invention and our creation to make sure that there is no wastage. We don't want anything going into landfill related to emission-free generators. So the cartridge comes back to us, very much like an espresso coffee pod or something along those sort of lines. It comes back to us. So once it's been fully used, it's sent to us, and we open it up. We take out any residual that's inside it. We give it a blast of air. We don't even use water. We refill it, put it all back together again, and that unit then goes back into the ecosystem again, back into the circular economy for recycled products. The waste that comes out of that, the powdered waste in effect that comes out that we have, is then sold into the construction industry, where it's a sought after product in the use of concrete. So there is a secondary use for this product. And it just happens that the way that we produce the hydrogen during its process, that product then becomes a very valuable item for the construction industry. So nothing is wasted. As long as you return the product, then we can do something with it. If it is given into landfill, then it is an inert product, so nothing will hurt. This is a safe product to be sent in the mail and all those sort of things. It is safe to be thrown away, but it's not good. That's not what we want. That's going to sit in landfill for hundreds of years because it's plastic. We don't want that. Eventually, after about 50 operations or 50 cycles of the cartridge, then we break that down and we then put that into a recycling system and we reuse it within the new cartridges.
That's great. Well, our time is up. Let me remind everybody that you can invest in this deal right now, this minute, at s4g.biz/EFG, or scan this QR code that's on the screen. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be an accredited investor. You don't need to be as good looking as Jackie. You can do this right now, this minute. And so I encourage you to check out. Now, our next presenter is going to be Eric Posse. Eric is the CEO and founder of Enterprise Energy, another great company. I'm just so proud to bring you these four great companies. And I love that you're in the mode today, Eric. You've embraced fully the branding you've got created. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, Eric, take it away.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Eric Posse. I'm the captain of Enterprise Energy, but also the CEO and co-founder. Our mission is simple: to democratize clean energy for the people of Earth through the development of community-scale power projects. We believe the energy transition should be powered by people, for people. All right. Today I'm here to discuss our newest frontier, distributed energy storage development in Illinois. But first, a look at our track record. Following a successful exit in 2022, our team has reassembled and is projected to be the #1 distributed solar developer in Minnesota for 2025. Since 2007, I've developed over 500 megawatts of community solar projects in the US, resulting in over $1 billion of deployed capital. I am joined by a leadership team of A players, including our CFO, Phil Leung, COO, Steve Chan, and CDO, Evan Carlson. We are also proud to be one of the leading minority-owned and operated developers in our space. A question I often get is, how does Enterprise Energy generate revenue? We are greenfield developers. We identify sites, negotiate with landowners, and handle complex interconnection and permitting. Once a project is de-risked and construction ready, we have two paths. Path 1 is to sell the project for a lump sum. This lowers risk and recycles capital quickly. Path 2 is to finance, build, and operate the asset. This unlocks long-term recurring revenue and asset value. We can now build and own our own fleet, but we retain the flexibility to sell when it provides the best immediate return. Now, let's look at our biggest opportunity, distributed battery energy storage. Well, 2025 was a challenging year for clean energy policy nationally in the US. Illinois was a massive exception. The Clean Energy and Reliable Grid Act of 2025 has opened a $10 billion market for distributed batteries. Our track record of entering new markets is strong. We typically capture nearly 20% market share. We have already begun acquiring sites, but the race is on to submit interconnection applications as competition heats up. Currently, we are constrained by development capital. These first dollars fund land acquisition, interconnection studies, and permitting. Traditional lenders often avoid this early stage or demand predatory terms. That is why we are turning to Climatize and also to the broader investment community to help fill this gap. We are doing this because the economics are powerful. In nearly all cases, every single dollar of development capital yields more than $10 in net income at monetization. That's a 10x multiplier. We turn high-risk paperwork into high-value infrastructure. Regarding the timeline, unlike massive utility-scale projects that take years or new tech that could take decades, our distributed opportunities are measured in months, not years. This is a proven business model applied to a brand new market with a reliable outcome. We are live on the Climatize platform at climatize.earth/enterprise-energy. For new investors joining today, you can receive a $50 to invest in clean energy using the code EENT50. In closing, we are standing on the launch pad of a major market shift in Illinois. The window to acquire these prime grid locations is narrow, and we intend to execute at warp speed. We invite you to join our crew. It is the logical choice for your portfolio, the right choice for the planet. I'm happy to open the floor for any questions you might have. Let's make it so.
I love it. And I love the idea of making it so. I have to confess, I've invested in one of your past deals, so this is you're a favorite of mine. But I'm not a judge, and I won't even vote in the polling that we do later. But why don't we get started with Paul this time? Paul, what would you like to know?
Yeah, Eric. Love to pitch. I love the Star Trek. You know, you're leaning into it. I love it. It's so memorable. Now, as you mentioned, you're raising on the Climatize platform. And a quick side note about Climatize, you can get debt crowdfunding deals on that platform. It's really exciting. It's very different than some of the other platforms. Now, Eric, I actually invested in this deal already. So I full disclosure, in fact, I've invested in your other two deals on Climatize as well. So here's 3 offerings in less than 6 months. You had the 185K in August, the 432K in September, and now you have this offering. So it's over $1 million in subordinate crowd capital in half a year. For investors who participated in your earlier offerings, walk us through how this capital directly accelerates the timeline for those projects to reach commercial operation or sale. What specific milestones will this funding unlock for your existing pipeline?
Excellent question, and thank you for that endorsement. We currently, right now, as you mentioned, we had 2 previous funding rounds through Climatize. The first one was for Minnesota community solar projects. Those projects are reaching financial close here within the next 2 months. And then the second raise was for community solar projects in Illinois. And those projects are expected to close financially probably within the next 4 months. This new round is for an entirely new frontier. As mentioned, the Clean and Reliable Grid Act of Illinois was passed in October, and that is spurring a massive amount of interest in battery development in Illinois. I guess challenge that we're facing is that there are only so many ideal sites for battery development, distributed battery development in Illinois, and we want to make sure that we are fastest to market. So these dollars are going toward down payments with landowners, for instance, or earnest money that we need to put up, sometimes measured in the tens of thousands of dollars in order to secure sites for a period of time. That capital is often refundable, so it's not necessarily all tied up and lost forever. We do have a period of time in which we need to execute, or we can get some of that earnest money back. Other dollars will be spent with utilities studying the interconnection of these proposed systems. Each study costs anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 to even $60,000 or more, and so these dollars are going toward those studies. And then finally, permitting costs are also not insignificant. So when we work with a county or a jurisdiction on approving these types of projects, we need to do often stormwater management plans. We need to do other detailed engineering, and those costs are significant.
Excellent. Thank you. Jackie, what would you like to know about this deal?
Well, I'd like to ask the captain a question or two. I was trying to do my fingers. I at one point I had them really well done. I had it down, and now I haven't practiced in a while. So just going back to your other 2 offerings, question: you indicate that you raise development capital. Is that correct? And those projects are getting sold. Is that right?
Yes, actually, for both of those raises, we're actually owning and operating those projects, and that's a big milestone for companies like us when we're able to get to a threshold in which banks are willing to invest, debt, their dollars to further our project.
Absolutely. So just so I'm clear, those projects are through development, and are they in construction now? Or
they are going to be constructed in 2026. Yes, they have not started construction. It is very cold and still snowy in the Midwest here.
Wonderful. And in what is your thesis or your methodology if you decide you raise the capital? Typically it's identified. If I've looked at some of the, I have old, just generally on Climatize, it's typically for development or construction. It's usually not for, owning and operating the system over time. And many times it's not even for operation, for construction. If you sell the project, and the term of your offering is 3 years or 4 years or whatever, what is your plan? Do you plan to repay investors, and give them back that capital, given you actually got through the process earlier, maybe even than the majority of what plan? How do you manage your financials in that case?
Yes, for the specific projects in the 2 earlier raises, once those projects financially close, we will, through reimbursement and the construction loan, pay back that capital that we borrowed from Climatize. For these new projects, the battery projects that we're raising money for, the gestation period, these projects are much earlier in their cycle. And so we do not anticipate returning that capital, within the first year or potentially maybe 2 years. But yes, we will use those dollars specifically to spur the development at the very early stage.
Awesome. Question for you on the battery.
Jackie, we need to give poor Leah a chance to ask a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, Jackie, you
go.
Give me the floor. I'm going to take it. Actually, your company, Eric, rated 4.86 over 5 on King's Crowd. We do rate Dave deals, and that's a very, very high score. So congrats for that. And I completely understand why Paul already invested, why Jackie has 1,000 questions for you. And what you're doing is very important, because the batteries storage is kind of the biggest gap in the clean grid that we're having right now. So thank you for fixing that. But for the people maybe that are on the call and don't really understand what are the risks of such projects, can you kind of walk us through the risk of developing a battery storage facility, and how do you try to mitigate this risk?
Yes, excellent question. So those 3 categories that I kind of identified, there's by no means exhaustive of all of the elements that go into a development, but certainly the primary risks as we start to develop are with interconnection and with permitting. Once we have the site secure, usually we do a pretty good job of identifying and scanning for these locations. The utility has their own mapping software. We have our own mapping software, and there are other tools that we can use, such as pre-application screens with utility, to gain that kind of very, very important data regarding exactly what is happening at that location in terms of the size of conductors, for instance, and whether or not it's 3-phase 34.5 kV, what exists at that specific point. So once we've got a pretty good indication on the queue and how much energy or capacity is available at a specific location, then we feel pretty good that that's a viable site. The next thing that we check is with the county or the city that has jurisdiction over that location, to test the waters and have a kind of early stage conversations with staff regarding our ability to permit at that location. Is it going to require a special use permit? Almost always it requires a special use permit, but in certain circumstances, either no permit is required, such as in Southern Illinois. That's what we found back in 2017 when we started doing this work at my previous company. And then, or if it's not by right, maybe it's already a permissible use, given the zoning designation of that particular parcel. So once we get those 2 things done, then it's, or once we've kind of crossed those items off the list, then it's usually, about timing. So these programs sometimes, will have a window of when they accept applications for fully developed projects. In this case, there is no program window, which is exciting, because that means that, pretty much if you bring a solid deal to the finish line, it will get done. And so there's no, REC or renewable energy credit capacity, restrictions This is specifically, it's going out, getting these sites. If we can cross off those couple early hurdles, as I mentioned, we should have a solid project.
Fantastic. Let me invite everyone to take a look at the deal. Visit s4g.biz/enterprise or scan that QR code to visit. What's the secret code to get the extra $50?
It's EENT50.
EENT50. That's excellent. Go get your free $50 by investing today. Okay. Thank you very, very much. Great presentation. Love it. Now we're on to our last presenter. I'm going to bring on Kevin Wolf, who is the CEO and founder of Wind Harvest. Another great company. I'm so proud of all these companies we've got on the show today. Eric, excuse me, Kevin, take it away.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm Kevin Wolf. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Wind Harvest. I like showing this picture here because it's the vision of what wind farms should look like in the future. And this vision has driven the company since its founding. It certainly brought me in as an early investor. And I basically, when I found this company and they told me about wind energy, it was like, oh, the only green energy at that time was hydroelectric dams. And I was a river rafter as my summer job in college. And I loved rivers and did not want to see any more of them lost to dams. And so when I learned about wind, I was all in, so to speak. I eventually became part of the new company in 2026 and became the CEO. And what drives me to move forward on this is, here is this land. It's very windy down there. It's got the roads in place. You don't need to have new projects being built, and you can increase the amount of energy all over the world. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in another slide. So the reason why you don't see vertical turbines down near the ground is they just can't handle turbulent wind. So it's laminar flow, smooth flow up above, but down near the ground, it is very turbulent. And so it needs a completely different kind of wind turbine. And people have been trying to do this for a very long time, and they haven't succeeded because they haven't had what we figured out how to do. A key thing was to move through these technology readiness level processes. The California Energy Commission and the Department of Energy now require that technology like ours, industrial scale technology, move through the technology readiness level processes. And we did that. It's a couple years between each process. It's millions of dollars. You have to build it. It takes 6 months to build it. You got to test it, install it, then you have to redesign it, and then do it again. But we have made it to the very end of the technology readiness level process. We are ready to go with a commercially ready turbine. I'll tell you a little bit about where that turbine is going because we're very excited to give some news about that. And what that process does is it led us to new patents. Some of the things like hinges between the blade arms and the blade solve the problem that has stopped almost every other vertical axis turbine that we know of from being able to survive in this tough environment. And we have a new patent on that. We picked up 8 new patents by going through this process and are telling the engineers, okay, now figure out how to make this cheaper, stronger, more efficient. And in the process, we picked up 8 new patents and have a really simple, well-protected turbine ready for the market. And the market is big. So around the world, we did this evaluation of thousands of wind farms in over 60 countries, found out about 20% of them have excellent wind speeds. Not all of them, but about 20%. And that's it's hundreds of billions of dollars in potential market. And the market could be the easiest to build because the roads are in place, the land is bought, the transmission lines are in place. And in the meantime, there's a distributed market. There is all these places that are windy near the ground, but they don't have the right technology to build it. They need short turbines. They need energy dense turbines. They need tough turbines. And we are the ones who have that product ready to go. So this is a picture of our turbines theoretically on on a ridgeline in Maui, and you can say, there aren't that many places that are really windy in places like Hawaii and California, and you want to make good use of these places. And our turbines are much more likely to be very bird friendly compared to the horizontal axis turbines, and they're already bird friendly. No matter what you hear from President Trump, they are a bird friendly technology. Our turbines are 100% aluminum and steel. They last a very long time. They're recyclable. There's a lot of benefits to our technology. And we have projects in the pipeline. So, for example, on a tribal land in Oklahoma, we're about to sign a contract this next week to supply our turbines to the casino there. And what they're really interested in is building out a very large project using our turbines, solar, and storage, and they want to attract a large AI data center. And with our turbines, they can reduce the amount of land they would need for solar alone by over 50%, and they get a very long-lasting technology, and we help them make use of the 50% investment tax credits that they could slip away. So I think I'm wrapping up here. We're raising money on Start Engine. I got a little QR code on how you can get access to it. We've raised a lot of money on crowdfunding. It's got us through this technology readiness levels. And now we're raising money on Start Engine equity in our Series A5 round to complete our certification and commercialization process. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Excellent job. Excellent job. Why don't we let's start with Leah. Leah, what do you think you would like to know about wind harvest?
Thank you, Devin. Hi, Kevin. So it looks like right now you're really about to commercialize. You're finally getting close. Can you walk us through the sales process? And actually, at the end of your slide deck, you have kind of what seems to be potential customers. Can you tell us more about what your sales pipeline look like right now? How difficult is it to close these sales? And when can you realistically start generating revenues?
Well, that's a very good question. So a lot of industrial scale technologies have trouble at the very end of the commercialization process because you need permits and you need off takers, and those things take years. So if you have a certified turbine and you wait for certification, and then after certification your customers start doing the process, then it's more years before you get a project in the ground. So we've been in the project development business. So we are finding our own projects. We are convincing the off-taker that they want our energy because we'll price it at lower than they will get energy already. And then we pay for the process of getting the permits, doing the bird studies, doing all of that kind of preliminary work. So we just de-risk it for them. Basically, we set up a limited liability company. The money flows through the limited liability company. The landowner, the off-taker don't have to take any risk. And as long as they're not having to take any risk and they have a big upside, eventually being able to own technology, get it at a lower price, make use of these investment tax credits, it seems to me that's our way in. So that's how we've done it with the tribes, with the folks down in the Caribbean, is take away the risk, and they're more than happy to let us take the risk and move it forward.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That's just great. Now, Jackie, what would you like to know?
So thank you very much. It was a great presentation, and I love wind technology. I don't care whether it's small or large. It's out there for the taking. So I'm just thrilled that you're working on this. I guess the question I have is it sounds like you've had some success with tribes and in the Caribbean. Is that right?
Right.
Sorry?
That is right.
That is right. And just in terms of the capital associated, and for those projects, you own them. Is that correct?
The law is tricky. You're the supplier of the technology, and the vendor, you can't own the project and make your margin. immediately, and we want to make the margin immediately. So we set up a limited liability company, and we lend money to that limited liability company so that it can be the one who then orders the turbines from us. It's
Understood.
we've invested a lot in tax attorneys
I was going
to
to say,
help us figure out how to make use of the 40 and 50% investment tax credits.
yes. Well, I mean, solar creates project companies which own the projects and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a level at which it sounds familiar. So the capital raise, right, the raise that you're doing right now, tell us, is it for one of those project companies? Is it for the overall company? And what exactly are you going to use the funds for?
So the good news is that this tribe in Oklahoma, that wants our turbines on their casino, we're going to be able to sell those turbines to them. Originally, we were going to have to capitalize it completely ourselves, put it down the UL test facility in Texas, pay rent to be able to use it, and make no money for a year on them. So now we get to sell the turbines. So that reduces the amount of capital we need. But a lot of the capital then goes to, it's a year before we see other sales. So we have a runway of the company to keep our staff going. We have projects that we need to develop, and projects in development take money. So those are the other major uses of the capital.
And that's all going into the parent company, if you will, or the main company.
I'm sorry, say that question again. You broke up.
I'm just clarifying the LLC that is separate that you lend to. That's not a subsidiary of your company, is that correct?
No,
it's a
that is
separate
standalone company. That's a standalone company.
Yeah, and you guys are the managers of that company. Is that how it works?
You are right. We get to be the project developer. We get hired by the LLC to be the project developer. And then once it's all together, the first investor is the ones with the tax credits. They get all that first. And there's a secondary investor that then takes over ownership.
Understood. Thank you very much.
All righty. Paul, what would you like to know?
Yeah, Kevin, I have been kind of looking at your project for some years now, and to me, what you're building seems like the only wind energy project I see in the crowdfunding space that's actually economically viable. This is just my own opinion. I think you're onto something, but you've been at it for 10 years and it's raised around, I think, 18 million over the company's history. And you're currently in a cash position that requires additional funding from the documents I reviewed. So for this next phase, getting to first revenue with the St. Croix project or this, the Oklahoma project, help us understand the capital plan. How much capital do you actually need to get from where you are today to generating your first dollar of revenue? And what are the specific gates you've built in to validate you're on the right track before needing the next tranche?
All good questions. So the news that we'll announce in the next week or so is that we do have our first sale. It'll be in June of 2026 for around $1 million. And that's the two turbines that we sell to the casino. We also get to sell our Model 3.1 because it's a very good turbine. It's just not our commercial version. They're looking for it as an attraction to bring tourists to their casino, as well as have a lower price of energy. So there's sale number one here in about 6 months. Sales number two is they're lining up, and we take 50% deposits. And that deposit predominantly comes out of the transferability platform that the investment tax credits are now allowed to do. So we're looking at something like, if all goes well, we'll hit $50 million in sales in 2027, of which most of those sales start in 2026 on projects price in the process of how those projects order turbines, etc. So we are looking at being potentially profitable by the end of 2027. And if we can get more working capital, then our amount of overall capital that we need is going to be less. If we can't get working capital from banks, et cetera, then we're going to need probably an extra, between $15 and $20 million more. And almost all that additional capital is working capital to handle the amount of sales that we have in 2027 and all the things that go on between ordering components, getting deposits, getting them paid, when you get your final payment from your limited liability company that's buying this. So we're looking at roughly an initial $4 million now, and then an additional $15 million or so, and then we're don't need any more capital. And it could be less if we get some ways to bring capital in besides needing equity for that working capital.
Fantastic. Well, Kevin, the next phase of our program is our 1 minute closing arguments. And we're going to go in reverse order that we did before. So you are the first to give your closing argument. What would be your 1 minute closing argument for why people should invest in you and vote for you in this competition?
Well, the number one thing is people want to do big things with their money. They want to see big changes happen in the world if they can. And they would like to think that, there's a chance that our capital, my investment, will make a big return. Well, those two things are going to happen with us. That we're going to open this enormous wind resource that people have been looking at for a long time but haven't been able to do. And because the valuation of a company like ours at this time, its pre-commercialization is a lot lower than it'll be after we hit certification and sales. Now is the right time to invest. So that's the big reasons I think that people should invest. It's the technology is pretty much proven, the markets are there, and we're ready for it.
Fantastic. Well, I think this is just a compelling investment. Let me see if I can pull this up real quickly. There's the QR code, folks. Invest at s4g.biz/harvest. There's the QR code. Thank you very, very much, Kevin. We're going to move on to the next closing argument, which will be Eric from Enterprise Energy. Where did I hide Eric? There he is. Eric, it's your turn for a closing argument. Eric, are you there? Eric, are you there? Okay, we'll give you a second to get together and we'll come back to you. We'll go to Mark next. Mark, are you ready?
Sure, I'm happy to do that.
Excellent. Take the time. Take your 60
Okay,
seconds.
thank you. So tonight we've talked about climate resilience and what happens when the grid fails. If you've ever been through a blackout and found yourself without power, you know that feeling. Clean energy doesn't matter if people can't access it when they need it most. At IFG, we're building what's missing: reliable, emission-free power that works indoors, outdoors, and when everything else goes dark. No fossil fuels, no noise, no compromise. This is tested. We are tested. It's real. And it's needed by families, communities, first responders. And anyone who believes power should never be a point of failure. Tonight, you have a choice. You can applaud innovation, or you can own a piece of it. We've opened EFG to everyday investors on WeFunder because the clean energy transition should be accessible to everyone. If you believe in resilient power, clean climate impact, and backing solutions that work, then just come and join us. Invest in EFG, help us deliver power where it matters most.
Fantastic. Great closing arguments. I appreciate that. Here's the, I got a partner helping me out. And anyway, s4g.biz/EFG, scan the QR code. There you go. Thank you very, very much, Mark. Great job. Let's go to Eric back. Let's see if we can get Eric. Eric, you ready?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Take your 60 seconds now and give us your closing argument.
Awesome. The energy transition is the single greatest economic shift of our lifetime. And right now, Illinois has just opened a $10 billion door with the Clean and Reliable Grid Act. The question is, who will walk through it? We aren't guessing at that outcome. My team has done this before. deploying over $1 billion in capital and executing a successful exit just 3 years ago. We have the blueprint to turn every single dollar of development capital into more than $10 of value, and we do it on a timeline of months, not years. We are asking for your vote today because we are the only minority-owned developer ready to capture this market immediately. Vote for experience, vote for speed, vote for Enterprise Energy. Let's live long and prosper together.
I love it. Let's live long and prosper together. You can see the QR code on the screen there. Scan that, or s4g.biz/enterprise if you prefer. But that'll take you right to the offering page. You can check it out, where several of us already confessed we've invested in some of the other deals that Enterprise and Eric have done. So great job, Eric. Thank you very, very much for being with us. Stick around. Our next and final closing arguments will be from Joe Dolan of EcoSave Technology. Joe, are you ready to go?
Yes, Devin, thank you.
Excellent.
To recap, our groundbreaking ESTO core technologies removes contaminants on a molecular level instantly, returning clean water to the source. We currently have 3 exciting market applications: storm drain interceptors, oil spill response and remediation, and industrial usage cleaning expensive coolant. They represent hundreds of billions of dollars in total market where our technology is desperately needed. Currently, we are applying to the Port Authority's Blue Incubator Group. We are working with Bender CCP on an industrial contract. We have met with the Port of San Diego or the Airport Authority, who plan to use parking structure rainwater for non-potable use. It's interesting. They want to use the water for restroom toilets and rental car washes. And we've been asked to submit a pitch deck for the Chinese government as well. So we've just been all over the place lately. We want you to know that we take your trust and your investments seriously. To mitigate some of the investment risk, we pledge that if any or all of our company is sold, we will return your initial investment through WeFunder as a dividend, allowing you to retain your holdings. So hopefully that mitigates some of your risk. Please invest now. Our company is ready to explode. So please help. Thank you.
Fantastic. I love it. This is such an interesting, who doesn't drink water? None of us. So we all need this to work. s4g.biz/ecosave. Scan the QR code there. And, it's only, a $70 billion marketplace that you're playing in. So very intriguing. Yeah, that's right. U.S. marketplace. And it's a global marketplace. So it's infinitely larger.
Right.
Fantastic. Stick around with us while we count the votes, Joe. I'm now going to invite our judges onto the screen. They are going to deliberate right in front of you, so you can watch this deliberation as it happens while you vote. So I'm going to start the clock. Give me a second. I'm going to need 15 seconds to get this properly loaded. But here it comes. But we're going to start the clock. But go ahead, judges, have at it.
Okay, which one do we want to? Why don't we start with EcoSave? Leah, what do you want to say about it?
Yeah, for me, it's a company that is solving a big need. But my one fear with this company is that they are trying to provide 3 different solutions, and I'm afraid that it's a little bit too much. What about you, Jackie? What do you think about EcoSave?
I absolutely hear what you're saying. I think it's fine to post that these are the different ways, but they need to focus on the one easier thing to get done, get that traction, get revenue going. It wasn't clear. I kind of heard 2 messages. On one hand, they are focusing there because the conversations about, we're talking to the Port Authority, whatever, made me feel like they're focusing on stormwater filters. But I would agree with you that if they're going to go after all 3, that's too much too early. But I think product is critical, and it's kind of a no-brainer. It's like big problem. Technology obviously is special, but it's kind of a simple solution and can be applied everywhere, like now. So I like the solution.
Yeah. My own thought is that this is a real solution. This is super viable. The issue is that this is deep technology. It's going to take time for implementation, and there's a real need for patient capital on this, which I think is fine. Also, I don't have a problem with that. I do think this team needs to prove themselves a little bit, because they've taken over what Benny has done, and I think that's a very positive step. I also think if a client of mine brought this deal to me and if it was suitable for them, I would say go for it. So let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about enterprise. Why don't I kick it over to you, Jackie?
Yeah, look, these are folks that are experienced. It's not clear to me how experienced they are in the battery sector, which is a very special sector and has to be executed in a very particular way. And managing batteries and things like that, setting them up properly is so we didn't hear about their experience in this sector, but they're developers, they've been around, and a lot of folks are doing these. They're facing a big opportunity. I guess the only thing is the question I think that I am wrestling with is, do we want to go for something that is, yeah, there's some risk, but it's tried and true, and this is just about, if it's not them doing it, it's going to be somebody else, as opposed to supporting a new technology that has more binary risk in my mind. And I think that's a piece of what we need to wrestle with here as a team, as to how do we value those two things?
Exactly. Yeah. Enterprise energy is just entering a way more fragmented market. They're not bringing any edge, but they're really entering a domain for energy, cheap energy, and sometimes clean energy in the market. And really, the gap right now in the development of clean technologies is the lack of battery storage solutions. You have great wind turbine farms, you have great solar farms, but the problem is, how do you actually get to use all of that electricity, that energy that is produced overnight? So, really, for me, the need is the big exciting factor about enterprise energy. And I think, related to my question that I had for Eric, the big minus for me here is the risk. I feel like these projects always have time risk, capital risk, a lot of development risk that are associated with construction. You can have the price of materials that will go up. You can have some sort of permitting issues. I'm not sure if they're using tax credit, but we know that unfortunately this is a bit recently. So, but I still like enterprise energy. And Paul, you already invested, so tell us, what made you invest in the company?
Well, I loved the experience, and also I also like how they're very thoughtful on their execution plan. I think they have very stated objectives that they want to do. And to me, when I'm looking at this, it reminds me of a real estate deal. And that's where my background is originally, is evaluating real estate investments. So I kind of was like, oh, this looks like a real estate deal with the way they had it structured. And I know it's a lot of it is constructing, you are building things. And I'm very familiar with those risks and comfortable with them, because this is what real estate developers deal with all the time. Similar stuff. I know it's a little bit different. Obviously, there's a lot of technology that's going on. Not new technology, but there is technology. The one thing is that they have a lot of stuff going on. I would say that concerns me a little bit. is all their projects happening, but all those projects could help. It could provide some sort of synergistic effect as well. So, I love them. Obviously, invested in it, and but there is some concern. So let's move on to emission-free generators. And let me just say this about them. I was super impressed when I was reading through their offerings, reading through the comments, reading through their updates. This, to me, know if I've ever seen a professional startup company, but if there was such a thing, this kind of seemed like it would be it. Of course, the big risk is that no one's ever done this technology at this massive scale. And I do think $2,000 for a unit for renters in apartment building, that 127 million, I'm going to push back a little bit on that. I'm not sure if they can afford a unit like that, but oddly enough, I saw that they even thought through subsidies through utility companies to get people who can't afford these. So very well thought out company. Jackie, what about you?
Yeah, I guess for me, that there is this the real opportunity in my mind is what else can this technology do? Because while it is, it's not like, oh, well, I can keep my home office going for 12 hours when my refrigerator isn't going and my other, like but I think the hope here is that if this technology does get out there and it's really gets commercialized and they can build it out so it's more powerful. I didn't get a chance to really tease that out of the conversation, but that's where this gets really exciting. It is a completely different way to do things. And there are alternatives that folks have, and there's a lot of plug and play now, solar, where people can like hang it up in their house and and it can run a small piece of equipment, and it's very big in Europe and things like that. But it's really the potential for, if this can actually get commercialized and then get more empowered over time, that's when this becomes a game changer to me. Otherwise, wasn't so interesting.
I'll summarize kind of the thought here. It looks like we have a product that is a very good product, very exciting, but we see adoption risk, and one of it is because of the price. I was actually very impressed by the amount of pre-orders that they got, and it's still a company that is excited for me. I just wonder, is the apartment really the best market for them? Maybe you have a couple homeowners that actually will want to own that because maybe they need it in the winter, or they will need that product at night, and just batteries are not a solution for them. So we have to think about that. And let's close quickly with Wind Harvest. Wind Harvest for me is a company with a strong potential in terms of revenue generation, and the time risk, the capital risk is strong because unfortunately in the last couple of years they have been facing several issues that have delayed their go-to-market, and so that's the biggest risk for me. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, I would agree with you. That is the biggest risk that I see with Wind Harvest. I really like Kevin, and he's been at this for over a decade, and that's a huge signal I look for in founders, is their commitment to the project. And I mean, Kevin is committed. I mean, totally committed, and he's been doing these steps. Jackie?
Yeah, I think, it's a capital intensive thing, and that's tough. And as opposed to a less capital intensive, where there's, what you have to put in order to get out is very different. I think they're close. And I think if they have the contract with, it sounded to me, with the reservation, and they have the other contract, And to me, I think they're as close as they've ever been. And I find that really exciting. But big capital investments.
All right, let's quickly pick a winner. I'm going to have to go with the emission-free generators just because I was so surprised with how well thought out they were with just about everything that's going on. So I did not expect to pick them on this day, but I'm really, really impressed with what they got going on. Leah?
I actually was about to go with the same company as well.
Okay.
Yes, the price point is a little bit high, but and the market is a little bit small as well. But just the pre-orders that they have, I'm thinking, all right, maybe there's something there, and I just want to keep looking at them and see where they're going. What about you, Jackie?
I was not leaning towards going with them, just because I look at the current state of it. It just doesn't excite it. Yes, it's a new technology. It doesn't excite me just in terms of what it can do. But I think, there is the potential for it to, like, if this can actually start to do more, now we're talking. So on the other hand, I would go with the EcoSave because obviously, I would advise them to focus on one thing. I think that product is it can be used in, if I understand it correctly, so many places now and have a huge impact on water and the quality of our water. I would go with them and take the risk that they're going to get organized to get this product out the door. So I will go with EcoSave.
Awesome.
So we have 2 votes for EFG and 1 for EcoSave. What are we going to do, team?
We go with you can convince me over. Does it have to be unanimous?
It hasn't been in the past, but
yeah. I'm a split. So therefore, I'm going to split just because I absolutely love the product of EcoSave, and I'm rooting for them because I see its immediate applicability. But the professionalism and the potential for the hydrogen generator is like that is so. I'm comfortable with going with the hydrogen generator if that's what we want to do. So totally flex.
Okay, I'm just gathering the final count, verifying the votes on the this kit. Oh my gosh! This has never happened. It
What's
has
happening?
never in the history of Super Crowd Live Pitch ever happened. I have verified the votes. They're all valid. We have a tie. So you guys chose EFG as the judge's choice winner over Jackie's objection, and the tie for the Super Crowd Award never happened before. We get so many votes, it seems like it's absolutely impossible. It'd be almost like getting a tie for president when there are this many people voting. But that's not what happened. We have a tie, and the tie is between, I want to be really careful, EcoSave Technologies and Enterprise Energy. So interesting triple win. Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. I think it goes without saying that doesn't mean that Wind Harvest isn't a great opportunity.
Great.
But I really want to celebrate all of those winners today. And I want to invite all of the companies who pitched, all those CEOs and, any of their colleagues who purchased VIP passes to pop into that VIP networking session that will be starting in 20 minutes and pop into the backstage now while we go through a couple of other things as we wrap up. Judges Jackie, Paul, Leah, thank you so much. What a great session. Oh my gosh, I just thought this was terrific. You were great. Thank you very, very much. And we'll look forward to continuing our work together. Thank you so much.